Welcome to
Separate Bathrooms. And other handy marriage tips.
We are coming to you from our living room. If you hear our neighbours next door with the barking dogs screaming out for Lola, that's what it is.
Ignore.
Today we're talking about how big moments in our lives can affect our relationship. And, for us there have been a few, but I would say that moving countries, specifically our move from Australia to Los Angeles, was a big one. That happened back in 1992. And we got a question, really, from Phoebe Johnson, who asks, how did moving to the USA change for the better or worse your relationship when you're both such Aussie free spirits?
Isn't that a nice description, Aussie free spirits? I like that. Right, well, I mean, we'd only been married for a whopping 8 months when you came bouncing in through the door, all excited to tell me that we were moving to America. Without even how do you feel about that, honey? Or would you like to move to America?
I was young and dumb. I didn't have that sort of maturity at that point.
We were very young. I was utterly horrified, actually. This, and this has been somewhat of a touchy subject in our marriage, one that's been discussed and dissected in therapy a fair bit, actually. And it's been a bit of a reoccurring theme in a lot of ways in our marriage too.
What, moving?
Moving and,
Disturbance.
Talking about things before certain contracts are signed, things like that.
Well, that's true.
Right?
We might talk about that a bit later. I guess it's me. See, it's me being excited, really. Here was I, 25, 26. I got an incredible opportunity to go to the States. When you and I met, we talked about it. I'd said, I do want to go to Los Angeles, to Hollywood, and give it a crack.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it wasn't a total surprise.
No, that's true.
It was a surprise that it happened in that moment,
Yes.
That you didn't think it was going to happen that soon. I didn't think it was going to happen that soon either. As it happened, my agent, and this was very seductive. My agent had chosen me out of all the clients to go and push me in the United States. And she told me that. That's what she did. And anyway, she got a major response from agencies and management over there. So it was very much a career-based decision, and it was very seductive because I was all about, I'm going to go to Hollywood. I want to be a star, or not so much be a star, but I wanted to be in Hollywood movies and productions. And here was this great opportunity.
And I didn't even want to visit America. I didn't even want to go there on a holiday.
You didn't, did you?
I didn't. And I was. Incorrectly, I thought America was a country of, gang violence and bad food and earthquakes. And I was like, leave my beautiful, safe Australia? No way. But I did. I did it for love. It was, because you did say to me, I'm going whether you're coming or not. So I took that as... all right, it's either divorce after 8 months or I pack my bags and go. So
I'm so embarrassed. I don't remember saying that.
Yeah,
I don't.
do. Yeah.
But you clearly do.
Yeah, I clearly
you
do.
remember all those.
Look, we say some crazy stuff. Yeah. And, again, no excuses for age, but you did say it. So we left, and for 2 years, those first 2 years, which it's always the hardest in the first 2 years, right? Moving anywhere. I did a lot of flying back and forth to Australia. I still had a contract with Portman's, and any other work that was happening here, I would fly back for. And after those 2 years, I finally just said to myself, this is crazy. I'm not settling. I'm 75% in Australia. My heart's over there, but my heart's still here with you. I have to just sort of attempt to put some roots down where we were in Los Angeles. And once I made that decision, everything started shifting for the positive.
Interesting, isn't it? Because look, here we are 2 years, well, a little more than 2 years, having returned from America to Australia, and we brought the kids out and we're repatriated back, and then they've moved too. I remember saying to people in Los Angeles when I sat on the advisory board, the advanced advisory board over there, saying to Australians coming to Los Angeles, it just seems to take 2 years before you settle down. And it's those first 2 years that are the most difficult. And I think that's the same with, if it's a state-to-state move. It just, 2 years seems like a general length of time that it takes to settle down. And thankfully, it didn't take 2 years for me to start working, get the management, get the agent, get a SAG card, which meant get a job, because that's a whole challenge in itself as well. So things were sort of every month I was ticking a box, and things started to happen quite fast.
Yeah, we had some great help over there too, because we had Tom Burlinson, man from Snowy River. He was an absolute angel and helped so much. And then we were actually living in Deborah Lee Furness, Hugh Jackman's wife, or well before Hugh Jackman. But
well, not that much well before, because she left to go and do Corelli, and that's when she
emailed
true.
back. That's when she met him. Yeah,
she rang back and said, "I've met this boy, and he's beautiful."
Oh, I know, such a great love story. We were living at Deb's place, and she was also enormously helpful. So there was this clutch of Aussie actors over there that sort of were like, "Okay, here's what you do. Here's your DMV. Here's your this." And
here's a map of how to get to and from places, because this is all before internet as well. So you had your street directory.
That's right.
You'd work out where you were going to.
No mobile phones either.
No audition. I mean, you'd work out where you're going for your auditions.
Back in the dark ages, right?
How do we even survive?
And I gave up. It wasn't that long. I mean, I attempted to do a bit of modeling in America, which I got some work, but I was just so not the right look for California in the 90s. Just, it was Pamela Anderson, as I've said before. It was Baywatch time, and I just was, this sort of skinny.
No, you still looked hot in a red bikini.
Oh, I just was sort of a bit
the red one piece,
bit skinny and crazy haired and hippie girl for California at the time. But in so many ways, that move was such a dramatic shift in our lives and in our relationship in so many ways as well, because we really road tested our marriage in that time. We threw a massive spanner into our marriage by uprooting our entire lives, our careers here, in moving over there after 8 months. We hadn't been together that long, and there we were, just going, okay, here we go. We arrived with our suitcases, and that was it, and off we went.
Yeah, and I guess looking back, it sort of feels like that was a big distraction for us. The move was a big distraction because we didn't really know each other that well. So we had it was like giving yourself a job to do. And our job was now, okay, we'll settle into a new country, make a life. I mean, we started off as no-names in the States, starting a career again. So we gave ourselves that. I mean, that was a major distraction. So we didn't really know each other. And then we were sort of going through this. I remember you sitting at Century City Mall, and we were eating, what were those rolls we used to eat? The turkey with pear and cranberry and cheese or whatever on them, sitting there. And you looked so relaxed. And you said to me, I can't really do this in Australia. I can't really sit in public places without people staring at me.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I thought, this is great.
Yeah, I do remember that.
You're feeling so relaxed that you weren't being, judged or called out, catcalled or whatever. You were just sort of blending into to LA life.
Yeah.
And that was, I remember feeling good about that. Just going, okay, well, here we go. We're starting again. I was not tinged with, oh, he's the game show guy. So I felt really good about being, a fresh face, but also having quite a bit of experience, because I'd made those, Tracks of Glory and
Boney.
Made Boney. No, the other miniseries, Golden Fiddles.
Oh.
And The Heroes. So I'd had 3 miniseries behind me and a couple of Logie Awards, and I thought I was the bee's knees, or the most awarded unknown actor in Hollywood at that stage, I felt. Anyway, I had that going for me. But there were a lot of distractions. And then, of course, if we'd... What
do you mean by that we had a lot of distractions?
I mean that there was a lot of busyness in order to navigate Hollywood and not really deal with what we were going through ourselves personally. That's what I mean.
Okay.
So, you know, we weren't really deep in the relationship. We were just getting to know each other, and we were. I used the word distraction, but maybe there's another better word to use.
Though in a way, at the same time, it's sort of, yeah, it was. There was a focus outside of the marriage because it was about your career, really. Though at the same time, it was just the two of us. We didn't know anyone else there, really. Though I guess, you know, we moved and you.
But we were all in setup mode. You know,
we were, yeah.
And setup mode's kind of fun when you're setting up a house and setting up this and you're learning the minutiae of something rather than being in. It was like a honeymoon phase still. Clearly it was a honeymoon phase.
Yeah,
we were
absolutely.
brand new.
Well, so what would you recommend then? Like if, you know, for couples, whether they're long-term marriage or short-term marriage or just dating and they're moving interstate or they're moving overseas, you know, and it starts to affect their relationship in some way. What would you recommend for those relationships?
First and foremost, you've got to be on the same page. You know, with our move, as you said before, here's me coming in going, hey, we're moving to America, and you weren't ready for that.
Right.
That hadn't been discussed.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time as well, after we'd gone through it, I remember my agent, she was confused with your reaction. And then I remember she apologized to you saying you weren't considered.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a beautiful moment, actually. I remember that on the balcony at our house going, she said, Ali, I'm really sorry you weren't considered in this. It's just Cam. We all got excited about this huge opportunity for Cam. So I think it's, you know, with a move, whether it's around the corner or interstate overseas, the couple, the two people doing it have to be on the same page. You've got to understand that this is what we're doing and this is why we're doing it. And are you happy with that? Are you not, you know, how do you feel about that?
Yeah. And
how do you feel about that?
Yeah. Are you both ready to make that move? And so you can both set foot in that new town or new state or new country, you know, in sync and excited about the opportunities from there. I mean, I think we finally got there. But it took a while for me because I was so in shock.
24 months is a long time.
So in shock about moving. You know, I feel like, and I've really learnt this in our reverse move, our move back to Australia as well, though now I understand better that I feel like one of the best things you can do is, because it really stretches you emotionally moving. It stretches you, or at least it did for me. It really moved me out of my comfort zone. So, you know, joining a class of some sort, whether it's a yoga class or a painting class or going to a book club or, you know, those sorts of things, starting to find people who are like-minded. I know for me this time, joining up with a volunteer group with something that I'm passionate about, I knew immediately I'd be around the people that had the same mindset as me. And that was just a perfect way to meet people that I really liked. I mean, if you've got kids, that's a great inbuilt way to start meeting people because I think that's the best way to
school
start.
Families.
Yeah, exactly. You start putting your roots down.
Yeah. But we didn't.
Down there.
We didn't.
At
At that point.
We were just the two of us.
Yeah.
So when we started exploring LA more and getting out of LA into the beautiful countryside that is over in California, that started being really exciting because I remember that first trip. We took a road trip up north and I remember just going, this is so beautiful. Yeah. We'd really only seen the city of LA, which is not that cute. There's pockets of it that are great, but it's, you know, it's a big sprawl of a city. Though you start heading up and it was just
any direction, south down to San Diego or across into the desert, Palm Springs, north to Santa Barbara and into the wine country, San Luis Obispo and places like that.
Yeah,
just
so
gorgeous.
starting to do things together, you know, those little moments really helped us find places that we loved together. And that really started building our love of Southern California together. So that was really helpful.
Of course, with the big move, things are happening so quickly, and I think the human condition is that we want to make ourselves as comfortable as quickly as we possibly can. So often things can get swept under the rug. So I think it's really important to keep checking in with each other. Always. How you're doing, how you're feeling, and to stay vulnerable, with your feelings. So because I know I have a propensity sometimes to go, yep, I'm fine, I'm okay, I'm all right. And then just the littlest thing will snap me, whereas if I'm actually being honest with you and just saying, I just feel really sad at the moment.
Yeah.
Because I remember that times where that specific one, I'm bursting into tears and have not even realize that I'm feeling sad about whatever it is. That the Bombers haven't made a final for the last, 10 years. God. It makes me sad.
You had a terrible game of golf. How are you, honey? I can't talk right now.
No, I'm fine. I lost a box of balls, but I'm fine.
I don't think we were good at that in the beginning of our marriage. Do you? Like, I feel like I was terrible at being able to speak my feelings when we were first married. I think I was really bad at that. I think I actually know I hid a lot of my feelings. I just sort of carried on and tried to smile my way through. And, it wasn't until I realized how damaging all that was, holding it all together, not only to myself, but to our marriage,
right,
that I started realizing I have to bring this up. I have to talk about this.
Did you come to that on your own, or was that after we'd started doing therapy, basically?
Oh, definitely therapy.
Right.
Definitely therapy. I don't know if I would have liked to think I would have eventually, gotten there as I got older and wiser, though therapy really shifted that for me, really. And it was terrifying to speak about my feelings, being an absolute dyed-in-the-wall people pleaser. The thought that I was actually going to say to you, I'm not happy, was like, holy cow, this is risking everything. This is risking my whole people-pleasing identity. Though without expressing how I feel, our marriage was doomed.
Oh, yeah, it was headed for a planetary explosion.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I absolutely agree with that. And I also feel that there is a time and a place for maybe not expressing something, come back to it, see if you can basically check in, see with yourself and go, do I actually really need to say this? Am I okay with this? And you can sort of have that inner thing going on yourself.
Yeah, that takes some practice knowing what's appropriate and what's not.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah. So maybe I'm talking about, 25-year evolved Cameron rather than blurting Cameron Daddo in the early days. Oh dear, those early days were fun though. In some of the things we did, right? What? We had some good times. Tell me one of your favorite LA stories.
I was trying to think
those
of
early days. Early days.
Yeah, I was trying to think of okay, what's a real Hollywood story to share? Because we had. Again, early days before kids, we knew some celebrities, not a lot, because after the kids were born, it was all about
the kids
and those
Kindy.
Parents,
Snotty
and
noses.
We slipped out of the Aussie celebrity scene pretty quick, actually. Though
I don't think they were sad to see us go. I don't think they missed us.
Though I do remember playing cards at some nightclub, and sitting there was in the back room. Sitting there was Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman and Naomi Watts and a couple of other people whose name escapes me right now. And I could kind of hold my own with card games. I wasn't too bad, but but I was getting a little bit of help as well from this lovely guy sitting next to me, whose name I don't remember. I'm so sorry. So I'm sitting there and I'm playing this way. You know, we're betting like $1.
We were betting chips. We had plastic chips. The money wasn't part of it at that point.
Yeah, it was.
Was it?
Yeah, it was. Absolutely.
But they weren't. It wasn't much money.
That's what I was saying. It was $1. See?
Okay.
Now, if you were listening to
No, I
me,
was listening, but
you
I didn't
would
think
have
we were.
heard that I said $1.
Yeah. No. See, this is what happens a lot.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have different versions of the story.
Yeah.
So
I'll shut up.
I'm going to tell mine.
I'm shutting up.
That would be amazing. Thanks. So, so I'm betting $1, and everyone's putting in $1, and you know the kitty's grown to about $9, if that. And Russell Crowe came in, and he sat down. He's like, "Deal me in." And he throws down all like wads of cash and this, that, and the other, and my eyeballs like bulging out of my head. And you know, we're living in this tiny little 1-bedroom apartment, you know, somewhere that's doesn't cost very much rent, and throws in all of his money and is like, "Okay, let's go." So we play the next game, and I won it. And I won all the money, and scooped it all up and put it in my handbag, and then grabbed Cam and we ran from that place because we had our next month's rent. We were like, yes. And apparently I've come to find out you're actually not meant to do that. You know, actually when you win big like that, you're meant to sort of stay and play the game a little bit more.
I don't know.
That's what I thought.
I had no clue how to play cards that
neither
night.
did
And
I
I think the guy's name was Bo. And without Bo, we would not have made it through. Because, like I said, I didn't have a clue.
True. He was our saint.
Saint Bo. Hey, I do want to give you props on something, because you were amazing early on in that time in settling in. For me, you allowed me to do some pretty crazy things. And there was something that what I had set up. There was a guy called Al McDougall, and he was on Home and Away back in the day. There was Julian McMahon, a couple of other Aussie guys. And when we got a big job, we went to a place we called the Razzle Dazzle, and that was the mud wrestling. And,
Mm-hmm.
and so the mud wrestling was on Western Avenue, just above the 101 freeway, if you're familiar with Los Angeles. Called it the Razzle Dazzle. If you got the big job, you had to get into the ring and wrestle. And so McDougall had to do it a couple of times because he got a friend's gig. He got one on an ER. Julian got it on, I don't know, one of those big NBC shows that he did. And when I got Models Inc. into the pit to do the mud wrestling, I remember pulling foam rubber out of my ear for days, because the mud it was this brown stuff that was softened with little bits of foam rubber, really environmentally sensitive, approved stuff.
Sure. And who were you actually wrestling, Cameron Daddo?
Well, we would wrestle the girls who were wrestling.
And here's the addendum to the story to that. It's funny that you, again, here we go, different versions, separate bathrooms, separate stories, is in fact you would go to these mud wrestling nights, and you actually wouldn't tell me that's where you were. You'd be just out somewhere or doing something, having a drink with the boys. It wasn't until afterwards that I found out that it was actually mud wrestling bikini-clad girls.
Yeah, because you found out because of the mud on the pillow coming out of my ears.
No, I didn't. That's not how I found.
Well, that's my separate bathroom. That's what I'm sticking.
No, that was, you were always really clean. Maybe that's what it was. The fact you were really clean.
I was so clean and smelled like some disinfectant.
You guys just couldn't keep your stories straight, and so when we'd be around together, one of you invariably went, "Yeah, but Cam, and how about when you pinned that girl down to the floor in the mud?"
Out.
I was like, "Wait, excuse me."
Honey, I actually got thrown out.
You got
of
thrown
the pit.
out. That was the story.
I got chucked out of the pit
And
because
they
I wrestled her back.
Right, and you couldn't keep, the boys couldn't keep their mouths shut, so that came out, and I was like, hold a time out. Excuse me? That was another moment in therapy for us.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I guess I was just hiding it for your own protection. You know, that you wouldn't be thinking, I don't know, there's no way out of that. No way out of that.
No way out of the mud pit?
No, I know how to get out of the mud pit, and that was to wrestle back. No, I cannot deny or excuse my behaviour there.
No, well, lying about stuff like that it's never good in a marriage. That
I was
is
just
for
about to
sure.
say lying is not good in a marriage.
Yeah.
Like, you can lie down, but don't tell porky pies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So in learning about all of our moves and our moves as in moving countries.
Not lying. What about the lying
That's
down?
a weird
moves, isn't it?
segue.
Moves and moves.
You know, what are we saying? How are we helping people with this if there is a move?
Well, I don't know if we're helping people, but when we move, it's great to be on the same page.
Yeah.
It's great to both know what the other's thinking, what the other wants, what the other's feeling about stuff, the intention of the move, that you're both on the same page and you're doing it from the same platform.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And when you get there, when you're in the thick of the move, when all the distractions are happening, to make sure that you haven't lost track of where your partner is and all that, and where you are, more importantly, where you are and all that.
That he's not at the mud wrestling.
Yeah. That you're together with this and you're checking in still. And I know we use that term a lot, checking in, though it's what saved us constantly is our check-ins. So yeah, very easy to get lost and distracted in a stressful situation like a move. So make sure you make time to sit and go, how are you feeling about this?
Yeah. Well, it's communication, isn't it? And the other side to that is, we talked about it before, was being vulnerable with your feelings and not to bottle things up. Basically let your guard down, because I know that when we've gone to new places, you are a bit guarded, you are a bit more tentative. Naturally, you're just a bit sort of defensive, going, what's going on here? So it's great when you come into your new home and you can sit on the couch with your partner and be vulnerable about your feelings and where you're at. And that creates, that creates intimacy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Talk about that woman on that show.
I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, you do. Married at First Sight, that lady who talks about intimacy all the time.
Right.
We've got to have one of those couples on.
Yeah.
We need to have that guy Cam and Jules
they're
on.
lovely.
We should have
They're
them
lovely.
on to talk about relationships.
And then just to get back to off Married at First Sight, the other point I think that's really important is when you get there, start exploring together, start making your discoveries together, having shared experiences in a new place really is bonding for both of you and starts to settle you into the things that are positive and good about where you're living. So that really helps start to ground you in the place that you're living at. I think they're our points right now.
Yeah, and I think it just, we've been doing it for 28 years and we've made mistakes. And
Doing it?
We've been doing lots of things. It is doing marriage. Be clear. But yeah, for 28
Glad
years.
it wasn't mud wrestling.
And yeah, I know. So we've added something else in there now. And some of it works and some of it doesn't. Take what you want from this. We're not actually telling you what to do. We're just giving you our version of it.
No, just what's worked. Just what we know what worked for us and what didn't work really. What we, looking back in hindsight, what would have helped actually.
Yeah. Share your feelings. Separate your bathrooms.
Yeah, if you can.
If you can. Otherwise, schedule your trips.
Schedule your trips. That's right. All right, everyone. Nice to have you with us. And next episode is all about the importance of therapy.
Oh, no wonder I was quiet.
Yeah.
Till next time. Ciao for now.
Bye-bye.